more fucking around. It's Wild Style Radio. Wild Style Radio.
Stand up and shout.
What's up? It's Wednesday night, and this is the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show with Wisk and Kev, coming to you live from Salisbury Center Studios in Manassas, Virginia. What up?
This is the Max Headroom special. Like,
Yes.
I like there's gonna be a lot of people on this call that has no idea what that reference is. Remember the old like talking head?
Oh man, Max Headroom.
And right? Remember that was like a TV sitcom? Right.
Hollywood
Heads.
Squares doesn't have
Max
shit
Headroom.
on us.
Dude,
There's
Max
a lot of
Headroom.
heads.
Here's a trivia item for you. Max Headroom was the spokesman for Crystal Pepsi.
I think I did know that. That sounds familiar.
Remember?
I mean, look, you're dropping.
Crystal Pepsi was
I'm looking at a couple
clear
bands.
Pepsi.
I'm looking at Void the Sandman, and I'm looking at Anesthesiac, and they have no idea what
No
the hell we're
freaking
talking
clue.
about that.
Unless it's
Have you
Maybe
ever
if it's-
seen?
You
Have
see
you
any of them
guys
wiping their
ever
glasses
seen
clean right now? No.
like the old? What is it? An 80s or 90s sitcom? I'm afraid to even like admit.
it's 80s.
80s. Max
80s.
Headroom. You ever seen Max Headroom?
Max Headroom was
No.
a digital dude.
See?
All right. Have
They
you
didn't even
ever-
show it on Stranger Things, so
Yeah. Have you ever drank a Crystal Pepsi?
Yes.
Oh no.
No.
Recently?
They were gonna like strip down Pepsi to make it, instead of making
I
it like
found the
dark,
new old
whatever,
stuff.
dark brown or black. They
really?
were going to make it clear, right? That was the whole move behind Crystal Pepsi.
Well, it was at a time where everything was becoming clear. There was like I don't remember who, it may have been Exxon, but somebody put out like clear gasoline.
Yeah,
So everything was
pure.
going. It was it had like this connotation of being
Clean.
good for you or
Yeah.
whatever.
Bullshit.
Yeah. So Crystal Pepsi
Everclear.
was like it was supposed to taste exactly like Pepsi, but it didn't.
were you guys clean and clear then?
Oh man, dude, I'm not that old. I hope so. I was like 8.
All right. I'm just making sure.
That was good.
All right, enough about this.
we're
All
the
right.
old ones in the room.
right?
Are you gonna start the show by introducing all these people? on the
Right. Well, I
screen?
just like right. That's what I'm saying.
We
like,
are.
I
Gotta
just
jump
had to
in.
like point out that we've never had like if you watch the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show, and you're jumping in and seeing this, you've never seen a screen like this. So that was my
Nope.
Max Headroom reference, and that's why I was pointing this out. I love it. Like, thank you guys for all joining. So we have the 5 armies, the 5 bands that are like showing up and making metal happen here at the Salisbury Center in April, coming in to talk about these metal performances. So big cheers. Scott, the producer, sound effect.
gonna
We
do
got
that.
one there. Big loud love.
He's pressing it as hard as he can.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yes. Yeah. For you all coming in. So let's do some rounds of introductions. And I'm going to start really in the order of the April 12th show. Is that cool?
Okay.
All right. So, and we're going to start with those that are going on first, Never Elected. So we have 2 from Never Elected that have joined us. You guys just jump in, and evidently Dr. T from Never Elected might show up. So if you see another head pop in, we're going to be introducing him. So I'll let you guys, I'll cut away and shut up and let you guys go.
Hey, so I'm Sujit from Never Elected. I play the fool in the band. Alton's here with us, and so is Dr. T.
Okay.
Oh yeah, Dr. T's disappeared again.
All right.
Does that?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he is again.
So this will be your all's first performance at the Salisbury Center, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about the band.
Alton.
Oh, dude, come on. That's always happens, even if I'm that way. And man, we've been a band for like 10 years. Started with just Sujit and I. Actually, is just going to be a duo acoustic band with playing some covers, and then we sat down for like a week and we basically wrote out what became our first EP, and then we started slowly realizing that we need to have a full band, and that we long story short, fast forward, now we have Dr. T over there on bass and Wesley on the drums. He's not on the call today, but I play guitar, and we're doing what we're doing right now. So fast forward, we got a new album came out last year, got nominated for Whammies for like best rock album single. Didn't win it, but we got to go to the it's like the DMDC area Grammys or whatever equivalent. So that's pretty cool.
So they
And-
still do the whammies.
I know.
So,
Yeah,
so
I
we,
know.
we
I
were
haven't
like
heard of that.
nominated in we were nominated for like 3 things. It's like the Whammies is the Washington DC Grammys. That's what they
Mhm.
call it.
Mhm.
And we were on best metal song, best metal album, and best band, I think. And we didn't win any of them because, well, I mean, we are never elected. And,
It worked out. It was
yeah.
fun.
Nice.
And
Where's the sound effect on that
no
one?
shame at all because we lost out to Periphery.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on. But the
So
nomination
Periphery
is
was
great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Periphery is kind of hard to.
Uh-huh.
That's an unfair.
Yeah, we kind of knew
Yeah.
that we're done.
Dude, once your band is at the Grammys, like you don't need to. You know what I mean?
You made it through the door.
Right.
Right. That counts just amazingly in itself.
Dude, I've seen these guys. They're really fun to watch. And
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude's trying to be silly. He's calling himself the fool, but I mean, talk about a guy with stage presence. It's a lot of fun to watch. I saw these guys play in Woodbridge. It was a Metal Teresa did a thing last
Oh
year.
yeah, Metal Cruiser.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay.
And she's
Nice.
done it before up here in the Manassas area, but the brewery went closed, so they moved locations. So I guess it would have been October. I think I saw you guys out there.
Cool. Very cool.
Good band, prog metal, more rock stuff.
That's what I was about
Sweet.
to ask you guys. Like if people are and when people come out to see you, not if, but when people come out to see you, how would you describe your sound? What are they expecting to maybe hear?
Oh, Sujit.
So what we've been told is it's a pretty much of a 90s sound with Alice in Chains kind of a thing mixed in with some I think I would call ourselves more of grunge more than metal.
Okay.
We do have metal elements and then we have some prog elements as well. So we're a blend of a few things. And we have fun when we go out there, and that's all that matters at the end, I guess.
Amen. Amen. That is absolutely what live music's always about. So I think that's probably the recurring theme of our conversations here in the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show is the importance of live music and the importance of coming out and seeing it live.
Yeah, because you know what? AI can't do that shit.
Never. And
They can generate some fake ass song, but they can't get that. They can't get up there and play it.
right. And unless I'm misspeaking, like most of you, when you go to record, that's what you're capturing is what you're really doing live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
So then next up on the bill next week
Next in line.
is Void the Sandman. Sorry.
Void the Sandman.
Totally blanking there
We're
for a
gonna go
second.
into the void.
No, we're gonna avoid the Sandman.
Into the because it's a Sabbath song. It's tempting.
Yes, I know.
I know it's tempting. So
Like your brain
I'm sorry
was
about
void at that moment.
that. Exactly.
And they're on screen, lower left of your screen. So thanks for
Yeah,
joining.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about Void the Sandman.
Can you just making sure you all can hear us?
Yep,
Here
we
you
got you.
great. I like the
Okay,
mic.
cool.
Strong.
Yeah, and we're having mic issues with the computer. Yeah, so we're also kind of we started off a grunge band. It was actually my solo project before. I used to live in Nova, and I started the solo project in Nova, and then so this is my sister. She's kind of been in on it since I've had my demos and stuff, and then this is Kendall.
Hello.
She's my coworker. And so yeah, we definitely did start off with heavy grunge influences. Like we grew up listening to Nirvana and Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam. And yeah, I mean eventually we kind of wanted to go to a heavier route while sort of keeping some of the grunge. Take a lot of influence from a lot of the 2000s like alternative metal scene. We're big fans of new metal. Yeah, no, and I mean, and especially with Richmond now, like now that I live in Richmond, there's a bunch of hardcore shows that I go to. So we're just taking a bunch of influences from everywhere that we can at this point.
Excellent. Like, I'm glad you brought up the piece about Richmond, because we've definitely had bands really kind of exchange back and forth from where we are in the Northern Virginia area down into Richmond. And we talk about the differences or possible differences between those music scenes. Are you seeing any differences yourself between what's happening in Richmond and what's happening in Northern Virginia, since you've been exposed to both areas?
For sure. I think that Richmond, it's going to be a really good scene for like all this grunge music, and it's a great scene, but I think that there generally just is a lot more of that grunge music happening in Nova. And to be honest, I actually was not exposed to the Nova scene until I moved to Richmond. Yeah, I was completely unaware that it existed. That's why I moved to Richmond, because I was like, oh, there are no bands in Nova, so and then I saw a Nova band in Richmond, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I went down the rabbit hole, but there definitely is. I mean, I feel like in Nova, it's definitely more classic rock, grunge, and in Richmond, it's a lot more screamo, shoegaze, hardcore is like one of the leading genres here, if you will.
All right, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Joining after them is Anesthesiac. Coming back to the Salisbury Center. What's up, guys?
Love it, man. Love it. I'm going to ask you just right out of the gate. Have you guys been on a podcast since the last time we talked?
No.
Second time then, right?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, that was a fun night. That wasn't a night. That was an afternoon, right? That was at a local palooza?
No, before.
That was last February.
Who did
Okay.
we do with?
Age of Ruin.
Yeah,
I think.
Age of
It
Ruin
was Age of Ruin show.
Plagues and
I love
stuff.
going to plagues.
Yes, yeah.
Might have been the night of the Pringles monster.
Was that? Well,
mashup.
yeah. Were there Pringles all over the studio?
Monster.
Monster.
The monster. It was the monster. Yeah. Well, great to see you guys. So, am I noticing? Have there been some changes in the band?
Yes.
All right. Let's.
New
All
guitarist.
right. I was gonna say, let's make some introductions.
This is Lily.
Yes. Hello.
Welcome. Is this your first time on a podcast?
Yes, it
All right.
is. Thank you for having us.
Look, I got to congratulate you guys on your local Palooza sales. You were I'm going to mention that. Here in Manassas, you were the top selling act here at local Palooza last summer.
That was kind of shocking, like to get the personal email where they were like, we just want to thank you guys so much, because besides Black Flag, we had sold the most tickets, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, are you
Yeah, you guys, you know what that means, right?
I mean, I'm going to point this
they're
out.
headlining this year,
right? And you outsold Age of Ruin. I'm just going to say that out loud.
And Days of Five.
I mean, that's actually more momentous that you outsold Days of Five.
and Cursor. Come
Yes.
on, forget
Yeah,
it.
just
That's our
everybody.
20 fingers. We might as well go around the room.
I'm so sorry. Look, I don't mind. I feel like I'm okay. Like,
Last year was a blur.
busting up Daniel a little bit, but then I felt like, right now. So,
It's all good.
Lucas and Daniel are about to attack me because they are in the studio.
Hi, Daniel.
What's up, guys?
Yes, and congratulations. And congratulations on your new band member.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sixth now. Yeah.
This is our new member.
It's our mascot.
Anesthesiac mascot.
It's really cool that you guys are still at it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Those of us that have been in bands, for a long time, when you have band members come and go, it's hard. They say in life, like moving a family. Moving is like one of the hardest things that you can do, and this is constant like movement of like ideas and musical concepts and change and taste and everything, and just the stress that you go through and all of that, the change that is involved with that. And I know, your dude moved for an opportunity. And that alone is stressful, and you guys, you kind of treat each other like family members in a way.
Yeah.
So
Obviously, make it easy because I'm just a perfect guitarist. I don't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
I know the type. But it's really cool to see the passion that you guys still have to keep moving carrying the torch. So
Sure.
So keep at it. It inspires all of us too.
Are you guys going to ask you guys? Are you working on anything new musically? Are you especially with an added, or at least a change in band member, not an added band? Well, I guess you have a sixth member, so I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, we want to try to start recording an album sometime soon.
Uh-huh.
We have 2 songs in the making right now,
Two
but
new
we're
songs
just
in the making.
figuring out like our sound and what we want to kind of do with music. So we're starting to get the train going.
We're always doing something.
Yeah.
I love it. Love it. But when I'll say this, so the people are watching this and they'll be coming out to the show in the next few weeks, they're going to see all original music from you all.
Oh, we have one cover coming up.
We have a cover.
Okay.
It's a surprise.
All right. So I won't dive any deeper into that, but the rest will be an original show.
Yeah, it will be.
All right, excellent.
Are we pulling? You guys still playing some of the old songs like "Not Forever"?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still
yeah.
pull up
Yeah.
on your Spotify. Yeah. Yeah, it'd be cool to hear like a newer recording. I've been jamming some of those old songs for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we really want to start. We got a bunch of new equipment and just start recording ourselves and getting like a really nice mixing out of some old songs, some new songs, to kind of start using it to promote and everything. Because we had an original idea for a sound going on where it was kind of fuzzy and really distorted and that kind of style, but we've kind of leaned towards wanting things a little differently. So we did just release a while ago the Manager Song EP, which kind of had a way better mixing and stuff that we were more happy with. But we are planning on wanting to get out just like they were saying, like a full-fledged album with some new, some old, and just have it to a sound that we love.
Excellent. All right, so we got to get to the in-studio folk now.
Yeah.
I know. Hear from you all.
What's
So
up?
I don't know who wants to start off.
You're starting with the lineup on the show.
I was going to say we're going next to the lineup. We
Yeah,
got to go.
so
to Lucas.
headlining on the 13th is Cursor.
Yeah. What's going on? I'm Luke. Thanks, Void the Sandman, for asking us to do the show with you all. We're stoked to do the show. It's going to be killer. Always love coming to Salisbury Center. You guys are great. Sounds great here. Venue's great. You guys do a great job.
And appreciate that. And we will also say in return, we are big fans of yours.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going
man.
to say this for like all of the bands here, like as part of this lineup. Kevin can be a really, tight, tough personality. He's not one, he's discriminate when it comes to his shows. And he'll watch anything, but it doesn't mean he's going to like it. So like, I remember this lineup, we always go over like what's being announced, and he listed all of the bands that playing on this April 12th show. And then he paused, and I can probably find this somewhere in the podcast because it happened live. He goes, "That's a really good show." So
Right
like
on.
big compliments to you guys,
Thanks, man.
like big for these bands coming together because
Yeah,
you won over the Russian judge, as far as I'm concerned.
Right on.
All right, yeah. So what's new with how's Apparitions? How's that doing?
It's doing great. Like it's coming up on a year in May, and it's doing well. I mean, we're seeing lots of growth for the band. The record's doing well. We've just been jamming it. I think it's surpassed like 150,000 streams.
Okay, great.
Really cool. The monthly streams for us are growing, so it's just cool. I've seen a lot of growth overall for Cursor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's stoked, and yeah, man, Apparitions was a milestone for us. I feel like.
Great album.
Thank you.
I will, just put that plug out there for that.
No, it's phenomenal. I love it. And see, you guys are doing a lot of shows. Follow on your social feeds. So
thanks, man. Yeah, we're trying to, just stay as active as we can. Whatever shows make sense. Trying to get out of Virginia a little bit more, play some different states.
Sure.
Looking at the summer schedule and trying to get all that set up. So yeah, we're just making some moves.
Excellent.
Still doing our thing.
All right. So does anything in that list stand out? Speaking of the summers or something, because we're in April right now, so
yeah,
we're not too far away from it.
I'm not quite ready to announce it, but working on something super top secret.
All right.
It's gonna probably come through in the summer.
Can we get dibs on that announcement?
For sure.
Since
for
we're
sure. I'll come in
local
and-
homers here.
Yeah, for sure. We'll come in and chat about it. But really stoked about that. It's Yeah, I can't talk about it too much.
All right.
But really
But you're
stoked about it.
smiling.
I am smiling. It's
Yeah.
a very, very cool thing. I didn't think it would happen, but it is happening.
Excellent.
And then of course we got some new music, trying to get some of that out by the end of the year, maybe a new EP, who knows? Making some
Fantastic.
moves.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah. But yeah, excited for sure. But yeah, man, we're doing our thing.
Excellent. And I'm going to say you were.
I was just going to transition if we're ready.
Oh, I was going to ask Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, you popped a new single My
right.
Way. I was going to say,
Johnny
not even
Days.
24 hours ago.
Sick.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, it's cool.
so what's kind of cooking there with Age of Ruin?
Yeah, man, you better be ready. You better be strapped in.
I loved it.
because it's coming hot. Yeah. Well, yeah, we dropped this first one. It's a re-record of a song we did at the beginning of the pandemic, right before we started the show. We were kind of talking a little bit about going in the studio. Yeah, it's the production on it. The quality is amazing. My friend Lynn Carmichael, who runs the studio. I don't know if you know Landmine up in New Jersey. Yeah, a lot of hardcore bands go through there. So we tracked it at my place, at my studio, and I had him mix it. So we had a different set of ears. Production on it's awesome. So we spent I think on just one song we spent like 200 hours total. So yeah, that's setting in motion a long string of. I actually listened to, believe it or not, I listen to you guys. and the criticism of these bands, they're out here criticizing bands for dropping single after single after single.
It's the move.
And I'm over here like, dude, that's the way to go now. I'm thinking of Lucas. I'm thinking of everybody.
I'm going to change that. I'm going to put that really to all of you guys.
Man,
So,
completely misquoting us.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It's a debate.
Scott can pull the
It's a
footage.
big debate that we have. Do you listen to albums or do you listen to singles?
Well,
That's the question. Like,
Both.
and think it. And,
I'll
and I
tell
think-
you right now. For me, the answer is both. But I would like to hear what everyone else says.
Of course, both. But like, and then it's almost like what you admit to.
I want to explain myself because you get a little defensive here. But
shit's getting real in the studio.
yeah, so
That's how the Stand Up
I had to
Shout
take
Rock
this
Show
jacket
rolls.
off. It
It got hot in here all of a sudden.
And so need a little anesthesia on here.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, and here's why you want to do
Right.
this as a musician.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Let's just say if you're like one of these rare musicians who's making a living doing this, what you guys describe, getting the record in bulk, like all at once, your Metallica, your I don't know, Post Malone, whatever you want to say. You get the whole record at once and you can just listen to it like we always traditionally did. Okay. They have the ability to like once or twice a year go into a studio and record a song. They're always working on new material. The rest of us that are doing this as a side job, as a hobby or whatever, that are doing it for our passion, it's a huge investment in time and money and resources to get together to get all of this done. So you really have to stretch the promotion potential of a record.
Right.
And also a lot of us are paying for this out of our own pockets. So we have to stretch our ability to promote the material, make sure it gets heard by the most people. And so trickling them out allows you to keep that as Lucas. I mean, here's a prime example of a success story of this strategy, where they released a single, another single, record comes with video material. I mean, and then you have all of that studio footage like you guys shared. I mean, it's following.
There's just so much music that comes out every day.
Right.
So the idea is like, if you think of a pond, like if you keep throwing stones, you keep making ripples instead of throwing one giant rock and one big splash. And then before you know it, the waves have calmed down and it's like the rock was never there.
Sure.
But if you keep, throwing stones, you keep making ripples, you keep, the eyes on you as long as you can, right? But if you just drop a record and don't have like a release schedule of 4 singles before it, then you put your record out and it's like, well, who the fuck are they? I'm not listening. And then it's over,
Almost overwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have that much dropped on you
And
at
then
once.
Dana brings up a lot of good points too, It's a lot of things, but singles,
It's
I don't
also
think of them as singles. It's like, it's part of, just promoting your record.
Right.
It's part of the record.
Sure.
I think what
it's
happened.
also the attention span these days. No one listens to a whole album.
Yeah.
I do.
Like once upon a time we used to listen to an album start to finish because you had a tape.
Right.
And then, I'm old.
Right.
Oh, so are we.
Or yeah, or you have a CD that starts. You put it in and then you listen to it till the end of the song, like the last song, even if it's the 13th song in the album. You listen
Right.
to the whole album.
Right.
These days, when we look at our, say, Spotify or Apple,
Right.
plays, you always see that the first song has got the most plays,
Right.
and it dwindles down kind of, and then you get like some plays here and there, and maybe your best song is your 7th one, and you barely got any traction on that one.
Sure.
So it's so I'm totally for that whole thing of keep releasing singles. We're taking a step back from that too.
We made the
going to be
mistake
putting out more
of
singles.
we've made the mistake on our last EP we recorded. We had an intro track. It was like 60 seconds of like noise and stuff. And this is just like something we would do. Like in our, you'd listen to a record.
Right.
This intro gets you in the mood. You're already like, what's about to
Sets a
happen?
tone. Right.
Dude, so just like you're saying, that was the first thing everyone clicked on.
Right.
For like the first introduction, like you're introduced to this band. Maybe the first time you listen to that, you're like, what is this? Is the whole band? It's always these intro tracks.
Right.
Nah, I'm not going to listen to this.
Right.
And they never hear the rest. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go to Void on this one, Void, and then to Anesthesiac, because you kind of heard from the old guard here. So when not necessarily how you're putting out music, but how you're listening to music, when someone mentions an artist to you, do you actually try to find an album from that artist, or do you find the artist, hit shuffle, or do you go to the single? What do you guys do? We'll go to Void first.
I definitely listen to singles first, just because I feel like it's a good introduction to not just the artist, but like every album could have a different concept. So I like to listen to singles from certain albums, feel out the vibe. And then if I like it, I'll dig into the album personally. But yeah.
Is that true for the rest of you all? Like the other two from Void?
I know I tend to go to like the top 5 and I'll listen to the top 5. And whichever song that I like the most. I mean, if it's all of them, I'll individually listen down album by album. But if there's a couple on there that I like from the same album, then I'll go to that album first. But yeah, I'll listen to singles before albums.
Sure.
I'll say that I just like hit shuffle on that shit, and I'll just get a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
get a little taste of it all,
There's
I like
no
to get a little
album
random play.
discrimination. Yeah.
Yeah,
just all comes
exactly.
out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What about Anesthesiac? Are you guys in that camp too? There's a lot like on the screen, all 6 members. I'm going to 6 members.
So I'm actually gonna have to go for album because I feel like a lot of bands I gotten into, a lot of albums will kind of have like a similar tone, like Lamb of God,
Right.
for example. I started with the Ashes of the Wake album, and every song blew my mind, and it kind of helped me develop like my opinion on a lot of the songs while just going through a bunch of like be on the album so I can hop on the next.
I'm an experience guy. I'm in music for the experience. I gotta get the whole soundscape, the whole story. And
Right.
also I got CDs, so I have an endless amount of full album to listen to.
Yeah.
Sure.
I got vinyls too. It's all album stuff, so that's what I listen to with those.
Yeah. That was probably some of the stuff that, Daniel was talking to that we were describing before, because that's what I like about the album experience is you get the concept and the mood of where the artist is when they're writing all of that material. So, I mean, you can get, that was thick in the 70s, especially, right? Like a Pink Floyd experience is that experience is like the obvious example.
That's something that influenced me a lot as a musician. And I even, there's certain things I'm hearing from you guys that's like, man, I can tie into every single one of these discussions. Like even just like Void the Sandman, the influences from, the grunge era, bands like Nirvana. When I was a kid, I was blown. I just loved Nirvana.
Sure.
I was... in 1994, I got a phone call from a friend the day that Kurt had taken they had found him because it was a few days later.
Yep.
And I actually had tickets with this friend. He was the first drummer for Age of Ruin, Patrick, and we had tickets to go see Pearl Jam in Fairfax here. And I was just crushed, like totally crushed by this. And we went to this concert, and Eddie Vedder on stage had said something about it. But I'm not trying to drive this conversation real sad. But I remember one of the things about Nirvana that was a big influence on me was they didn't write, they never had a song that just faded out.
Right.
And it was kind of that, remember one of his quotes, he quoted Neil Young when he said, it's better to burn out than to fade away.
Sure.
In his last note, his last letter. And it was kind of a tie to his music too. He'd never write these fade outs. So that's something that influenced my songwriting. So like there's never been an Age of Ruin song that fades out. We always write the ending to the song.
Right.
But we also write an album. So like this record that we can't wait to release is coming out in October is it's got an A side and a B side because we think of vinyl. We think of how this would work on vinyl. And so there's like the end of the side has a slower song and then it brings the energy back up on the other side.
Right.
So that's why I said earlier, I was like, my response would be both. I like singles. I like going on Spotify for the convenience because the world we live in is so fast.
Right.
I mean, dude, we don't even sit down and eat a meal anymore. Like it's like a few bites before you're on to the next thing. So kind of like guys from Never Elected were saying, it's the world we live in is just too fast paced.
Yeah. Well, and I get the point, the marketing piece to it, right? You want to draw it out, and that makes sense from a business and marketing standpoint. What I was saying when we had this discussion, because I think we're both in the both camp too.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a bigger band, you know, like let's say Metallica, and they have an album, it's done, it's sitting there ready to release, and then they do a song. That's
what I was saying right off from the bat was if you're Metallica, just release the record.
Right.
You don't need the money anymore. People are going to listen. You don't even need Spotify. Like you could. Those guys could literally say, "We're not going to release this digitally. It's only on CD," and they would still sell like 1 billion CDs.
For sure.
Yes. You know what I mean? So I think that's the whole thing. Is I think. But let me throw this back at you. Another perspective is, I can't stand it when you go on like Netflix or whatever. And these fools, they release one, like next week we'll have episode 2.
I kind of dig
and then
it.
the week after that, episode 3.
Dude,
you
I
can't.
feel like we've got to move where people are coming back to like
The
slow
water
down a
is the
little bit.
water cooler conversation, right?
Exactly. Like you've got a week to talk about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like talk about like Severance, for example. Like I like that week to like talk about.
This is the problem: is these guys that go return to the office and they're just goofing off talking. Yeah.
Well, and that's Stranger Things is doing that, right? Because I think it's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And they're releasing 5.
Oh, dude.
And then
that's
the last
so weird,
5.
Like, it's been so many years.
I would
between
probably.
seasons,
I know.
You know.
I would probably not watch the last 5 if that happened. Who else? Who on screen would? I'm not watching the rest of it.
Well,
if you can't release it all at once,
the thing is, they could, but they don't want folks binging it all,
right?
Because
then it's over.
It's the end of the story.
Right.
So
well, then you binge the whole CD and you're done, right? I think it's just kind of an interesting sort of flip on the whole argument.
Yeah, but I think there is kind of a shift, right? Like
work.
people are slowing down a little bit and like listening to albums and really taking in what the artists are putting out. Like music is shifted such with streaming, right? In the sense where it's like it's bubblegum, it's chewed up and spit out, and it's a song and it's over, and I forget, who's that? What's the name of that song?
And
Who's
they're
that artist?
so short now, like
so short, like 1 minute 30, 2 minutes.
Pop songs are like 90 seconds long,
right?
Like, I like to get
and it won't even have a bridge.
There's also like a whole Bollywood perspective of this whole thing. Bollywood movies used to be like 3 hours long.
Right.
Wow.
Every movie is like 3 hours long. At least half an hour of that are like songs with people dancing around trees and stuff like that. And people stopped, having the attention span to watch that movie for 3 hours. So all Bollywood did was make it a longer movie, make it 6 hours long, and actually cut it into 6 episodes. And suddenly everybody's watching it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, like on that note, it really kind of segues into something that we're going to maybe mess around here with the whole crew next. If you guys don't mind staying on and doing something like this, I'm glad you guys took the time to introduce yourselves to the people that are watching this.
Oh, by the way, Age of Ruin is playing this Friday.
On
These guys
April
were
4th?
supposed to also announce that we're playing a show. We're playing here on Friday.
Of course.
This week, 2 days from now.
I'm not wrapping up. I was not. That was
we were
not
introducing the shows, and then you're like, oh, then we're going to get to Daniel, and he's just a guy.
I mean, I
He's
feel
just
like
a dude that shows up in the room.
I think that you're like at every show. Like I can't imagine.
Well,
but, like,
I will be at this.
You will be.
That's what I'm
Void the
saying. Like,
Sandman
I'm gonna be there
show.
too.
There's not a
I'm gonna
show
see
I
Never
can't
Elected
imagine.
for the second time. I'm gonna see Anesthesiac for like the 5th or 6th. Man, I've seen you guys in McLean. I've seen you in Ashburn. I've seen you here. I think I saw you at the Clear Book Center once. I mean, it's gonna be like the 5th or 6th time I see these guys. So I'm stoked about this show.
Sweet.
April
Right.
12th.
Yeah, and Never Elected is playing a show tomorrow night
Okay.
in Alexandria at our
Nice.
favorite dive bar, O'Shaughnessy's.
Okay.
You guys have played there a few times, I think. I've seen your
I
name.
mean, we
over
call
there.
that home. We call that home.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Yeah.
The
In
house
fact, I
band.
think I've
Thursday
seen
night?
you. That's an opportunity, right? You guys are it's kind of tied in with the booking there a little bit. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I help with the booking at that place for Thursdays as well. Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, it would always musicians appreciate the people that put the work into helping with the setting up shows, organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm actually stoked to finally play with
for
CJ.
everyone here, the reason I was doing that is because personally I was sick and tired of cover bands and tribute bands getting all the shows. I wanted to see more bands come out, play original music, and the reason I'm helping O'Shaughnessy's book is because that's one of the places where you have no cover.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the bands still get paid.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
So it's like you can bring all your friends and everything. The only small thing that we can't get around is it's a 21 plus venue. But otherwise, I think it's a great place for metal bands. They don't have any problem with genre. You come out there, play. They also have a built-in crowd, and then you can bring all your friends who can't afford to go out into $15 to see you every time.
Excellent.
Cool.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah.
You'll be there tomorrow.
Awesome.
All right. Any more shows to plug between now and April 12th, at least? I'm looking at Void and Anesthesiac. All right. All right. You guys are good to go then. All right. But we're all going to be together in the same room on Saturday, August 12th. April 12th.
And it's April 13th.
I knew as soon as I said that. And it's
April 13th.
Damn, man, I am a mess.
But back to Daniel's point. So
Yeah.
on Friday, April the 4th.
It is 12th. It's Saturday, April 12th.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I love it when I beat the
My
Russian
glasses.
I was like, man, I was in my head. I'm like,
damn,
oh, it's
y'all
April
got me
Fool's
all
Day.
wrong.
No.
And then I'm like, wait, no, it's
You
No,
had
no,
us all
April
messed
12th.
up.
it's
You
definitely
had
the
us all
12th.
messed up. I was like 13th. Wait a minute.
What is happening? Easter's
I mean-
on 420 this year.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But Friday, the 4th, Age of Ruin is here
Of course.
with our also other
Yeah, we
close
got a couple
friends.
of good guys.
Ladder
yeah.
match,
Ladder match and Amanita.
Amanita, and Lost Becomes.
Lost Becomes out of
Absolutely.
New York. We're doing a 3-day sprint with
sick.
them this weekend. We're pretty stoked about some
Awesome.
friends of friends we never really ran into too much, but we're pretty excited about it. It's gonna be fun.
Good
Getting in
bands.
the van.
Cool.
Getting in the van. It's awesome.
All right. So
Now your game.
now here we go. So we do games. That was like that's the real quick and easy. We just do games here on the Stand Up and Shout Rock Show. And we have discussions about things like singles versus albums. And I feel like this conversation is going to fly in that direction. So this is called On the Fives. It's a variation of Would You Rather. And I know that we've done some Would You Rather with you guys in some other different ways. So it's about choices, and these choices are going to reveal all of our personalities as we make the choices that we're going to speak to. When I say that we're on the fives, it's because we're at 2025. So we're going to count back decades, and we're going to look at 2 artists from those decades with 2 albums from that decade. And you could either speak to whether, you prefer the artist or the album, or in this case, since we talked about it, even a single from that year, that landmark year of On the Fives. Does that make sense?
This is like the most complicated.
It's
game.
so simple.
Dude, is anybody following
It's
this?
so
No, I
simple.
feel like it's anytime directions
All
are
right,
explained.
so
it's
it's
like,
on a 5.
Just
I'm
show
on a
me.
5, and I'm going
There's
to give you
gonna
an
be
example.
2 options. And
2
you
options
like one.
on a 5.
I know, right?
All right, so we're going with 2025. Now, 2025, since this is an example, right? We're not really in 2025 yet, so we can't make any judgments. So I threw 2 acts out there. We have Cursor with Apparitions, which actually came out in 2024. Age of Ruin, Tides of Tragedy. I think that was 2007?
2004.
In 2004. So I'm putting you guys on the spot.
Awesome.
Putting you on the spot. So
well, our demo came out in 1998.
right, that would be that would be the choice. In this case, it might be a Sophie's Choice. That's a reference at a really difficult decision in a movie for the younger folk that they had to make between Age of Ruin or Cursor. Who would you choose?
Oh no,
Age of Ruin.
Oh, I knew,
Yeah, I
you
would
guys are
totally go
so
Cursor.
nice. You guys are so nice.
But that's an old album.
yeah, because I could actually name like half the songs.
What, on Cursor, on Apparitions, or on
Canary?
I mean, hopefully you
Midnight
can.
Whistler.
Tides of Tragedy?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, I just feel like that time in metal core and everything, like I was in that. So that just takes me back to a really good place.
Very cool.
and, you know,
Very
in
cool.
that time of my life, you know.
Yeah.
Because I had a similar band like that genre around that time too.
Yeah, we were playing. Man, it's funny like
Crossing
running in.
paths.
Totally.
It's nuts.
All right. So look, I'm not going to put the people on the calls on the spot between the people here in the studio because the fight will break out. So that was my example. So we're going to jump from 2025 to 2 albums that were put out in 2015. If you had to make the choice, was what you would prefer to listen to, Ghost and Meloria or Slayer with Relentless? Ghost or Slayer? I'm going to start with Never Elected because I just saw some brows raised.
I'll sip on my rum and wait for another answer.
Wow. Is that because you're being polite?
And I never listened to either of those records. I'm gonna be
they're not in the that's a valid answer.
Yeah.
I Slayer, I dropped off
True.
the
This
early
is their
2000s
last
for me.
studio album. This is Slayer's last studio album.
I think the last Slayer album I heard was Seasons in the Abyss. That's how long ago Slayer.
Okay.
I mean, I followed them until it was a God Hates Us All. Was that the record?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You just
Saw 'em
you,
at
you
Oz-
just
I mean,
lost
I've seen them a
you
billion
lost
times.
Void and Anesthesiac in that whole conversation.
Ghost. I mean, I've seen them, and I could like sing along to like half their songs, but I don't know which ones are on that record because I listen to the singles.
There you go. So you made an artist choice. In other words, you're going with Ghost.
Oh, I would go see Slayer, but are they doing a reunion show? I think they
They
are
are
doing
Yes,
one.
they are.
I saw the Kerry King Experience. That
Yes,
was
yeah.
pretty cool.
I think in this case, if I would probably go with this Ghost record because it's probably better in my recollection.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it's like I think you've thrown us all.
I threw some curves out there. Okay, I wasn't expecting that. So,
Yeah.
Void, where are you guys in this whole conversation?
Slayer.
Yeah, I probably go with Slayer.
Wow.
I
Very
don't-
decisive.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't listen to Ghost at all.
Okay.
We have a friend in the scene who loves Ghost,
Right.
Nolan. And
Right.
he's just dogged on everything that Ghost has put out within the past probably decade.
And that's it. That's the decade, right? We're
That's-
2015.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much. So that's my deciding factor.
Uh-huh.
Same.
I guess she's the same too.
And you guys are very, very decisive. Where are you, Anesthesiac?
Slayer.
Wow. All you. So, I mean, I have to say, I wasn't really focusing on the albums with these choices. I really was focusing more
Oh
on the
man,
bands.
I'm like losing the rules.
No.
Okay, so you choose
can
either
choose
the
what-
band.
You can choose
either-
whatever you want.
Oh, then that's like.
But then it's
This
why.
is anarchy. Then
It is anarchy. It is exactly that. But then, like, I love that. I looked up and thought that was an alarm.
I know, yeah.
I was like, what? But no, so like, I'm glad the Void folks called out the Ghost thing because that's really where I was going. I was especially like if I'm going to like kind of genre stereotype
I
what's
understand,
coming in
yeah.
on April 4th and on April 12th. What were your guys' take on Ghost to be? That's really kind of where I was going for in the heart of this question. So there's no love for Ghost that I'm really hearing out there.
I mean, I got some love for Ghost.
Well,
I like them a
I
lot.
think
I'd
love
go with
the
King
theme song.
Diamond.
Maiden last.
King Diamond,
series.
yeah. Oh, I've always loved that theatrical like vibe, you know. Like it's
That's
cool.
kind of what they're trying to reinvent.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
but I want to say something. I saw Ghost. My one friend took me to see Ghost back when their name was Ghost BC because they couldn't be just Ghost. They weren't big enough yet.
Yep.
And I think it was off their whatever album had the Secular Haze track on it and Zombie Queen or something. And I saw him at 930 Club. And then when this album came out, this one, it's hard to this Slayer album, the Ghost. The problem is this Ghost album's kind of like in the middle of their kind of transition career.
Yes.
This is I love Slayer, but this is like their end of career.
Yes.
So it's kind of like really hard to pick and choose. But like I would pick Ghost just because I know how awesome Slayer is, but Ghost, like this is like the albums they've had after they've kind of gone away from the kind of 80s metal that I think people liked. kind of traditional metal.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a really cool album because it had Circle on it. I forgot the other tracks, but it was like it's when they got a little more artsy.
Mhm.
So I kind of prefer that. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. I pick Ghost here. I'd listen to both, but like Ghost is just in this case.
Dude,
has
that
a whole range.
that was an answer. That was strong. That was damn strong.
I mean, that's convinced everybody at this point, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Way to put it.
Except for Dr. T, who looks like he's in the bathroom right now.
Oh my god.
Those album choices drove him there. All right, let's go to 2005. We'll see what comes up with this one. 2005, we have Meshuggah, Catch 33, System of a Down with Mesmerize. All right, I'm going to start with Void first. Meshuggah or System of a Down, or maybe you don't listen to either.
System of a Down.
All right. Everybody.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I.
Maybe some of our newer stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've also like listened to Mesmerize, and I do really like it. So.
So
I haven't
that is
listened to
like
the Meshuggah.
that's an album of choice for you.
Yeah.
And the album itself, not just the singles.
Yeah. You know, it does. Yeah. There are some questionable. I feel like all a System of a Down has questionable songs, but that's kind of just the. You know, the decision that you make when you like an album is you gotta like all the bad songs on there too.
All right.
You know, and yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anesthesiac, where are you guys in this debate?
We're split.
We have a 2-point argument. I'm letting Damien go first.
I am a huge System of a Down fan. That's where I'm at when it comes to drumming for this band half the time, and specifically Hypnotize and Mesmerize came out together. They're probably some of my two favorite albums out there.
Pure
I'm gonna
love.
say I think Meshuggah is one of the best bands ever, and I'm not going to explain, but I think they're
More
artistically,
love.
I love their sound, and I think they made metal funky, and that's very cool.
I mean, I'm sorry if I caused drama in the Anesthesiac house there. I don't mean to.
We're about
See
to
you.
start throwing hands and fighting. Single-handedly destroyed this band.
It's over.
Anybody else want to jump in?
I like System of a Down. I'll say
Okay.
System of a Down.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, probably same here.
All right. We got any opinions from Never Elected?
I don't really follow either band too much.
Okay.
But the vocalist Serge of System of a Down, I think he's very underrated. I think
Yeah.
he's freaking awesome.
He's a beast.
I'm not sure how many people know about an album that he did, which is the solo thing called Elect the Dead Symphony. He did this with the Auckland Philharmonic Orchestra. It's freaking awesome. It's very different from what you might expect.
Cool. Very cool.
It's a good thing to check out. Just to hear something that you didn't expect.
Sure. Excellent. How about anybody else there from that crew?
I was gonna do a hard System of a Down, Mesmerize. I love Meshuggah, but like I think System of a Down, like I remember when this album came out and the Hypnotize came out, and I remember when like the BYOB song dropped and they played Saturday Night Live, and this is back when you'd watch Saturday Night. I watched Saturday Night Live just to see System of a Down because they played that in Aerials from their Toxicity album. So like I think just both from a CD standpoint or the album standpoint, and then them as artists, like Suji was talking about Surge, but then Darren, oh my God, I forgot the other two guys' names. But then they all have their own, like you're talking about AI earlier. Like you cannot, I thought about it, you cannot like really replicate Surge's voice or any of the bass. It's like his timbre of how he plays his bass, how the drumming is. It's just so unique as a band. And then this album was like, had so many, I agree with I forget, sorry, I forget which band mentioned it, but there are some, obviously songs that aren't my favorite as well, but
That was
like
Void.
it
Void
is
says there's
a
holes
Void.
in System of Down. Yes.
Yeah, there's some song, but then it's like it is a very creative album, and they're very like this all art metal thing, and it's so cool that they actually were in the mainstream at some point in our lives. So it's interesting. So I picked them. I love Meshuggah a lot, but this album and the band is like just on its own unique stage. So
cool, very cool. All right, in studio folks, you guys have preferences?
Not the biggest fan of either band, but I'm probably gonna go Meshuggah because I feel like they were probably like one of the heaviest bands I ever heard. The first time I heard them, and just like they turned me on to like super low tuning and crazy time signatures, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go heavy in Meshuggah. System of a Down, they have a lot of great songs, but I'm not super familiar with that record. I kind of fell off after Toxicity.
Made metal funky. I got to quote Anesthesiac on that.
Made metal funky.
Yeah. Daniel, you got any preferences?
Yeah, I would agree that. I think, Meshuggah I kind of equate with the 8-string guitar. In a way. I mean, it's like they may not have been, it's like Korn with a 7-string. They weren't the ones that first did it, but they're the ones that kind of you think of. Which is, and from a musical perspective also, I'm a music theory student, and just the time signatures and things like that are just interesting to study. However, I do like the discussion. Sorry, I forget your name, from Never Elected. Is it Alton or something?
Alton, yep.
Yeah, Alton. Okay. See, I've got a good.
Yeah, all right.
Great
About AI and the thing about it is, the point was you'll never be able to get, maybe AI won't ever be able to replicate that. I think it will, but what I think about a band of like System of a Down is that they'll then just do something that's just so System of a Downy that like they went one step further, and AI couldn't guess that, because AI can only really do what it's seen before, and that's one of the things in the creative world that a lot of people are very intimidated by artificial intelligence, especially in the creative world. There's a lot of resistance to it, and I think it's founded. I mean, it's a threat, right? But you got to remember, all of us that are creators, that it can only do what it's seen before. It can only react and learn from what's happened before. And all of us that are creators, the musicians that we're surrounded by on this call, I mean, grunge musicians, these guys down in, even as far as Richmond, we will always be creating something new and something that inspires us. And this artificial intelligence will never be able to do that.
Right.
Mark my words. It'll never do it.
Right. All right. We're going to go back into a time before many people on this call were alive. 1995. We've talked about Alice already.
Easy.
So we got Kevin, the Russian judge, just yells out,
"Oh
easy."
man, not
Alice
easy.
in Chains, Alice in Chains, White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000.
Oh, it is easy, actually.
Are you if it's easy,
dude? I have to take this one first.
Please do it.
Okay, I am everyone that stands up and says they're gonna be like, I'm the biggest Alice in Chains fan. I'm the biggest Alice in Chains. No, I love them. This record kind of started that sort of downfall of their like getting to be too messed up in drugs and everything, right? Astro Creep 2000, dude, this White Zombie record is phenomenal. I listened to this record all of the time, and it came out, what, you're saying 30 years ago?
30 years ago.
Was it really 95?
95, yes.
I went to see White Zombie when I was in high school. I went to the Patriot Center and saw them, and it was the first band. This band right here is the reason Age of Ruin has pyrotechnics.
Okay.
Right here.
Yeah.
I went to see them, and just like the heat from the fire on the stage, I was like, I have to do that.
Right.
This is what I need to do with my life. You know what I mean? Some people are like, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a fire. Like I want to rescue people. No, dude, I wanted to set stuff on fire on stage. So Astro Creep 2000 is hands down just an unbelievable record. The guitars are the production on this is insane. They would. I mean, I've read so much and studied this. They would, just like Dimebag, they learned some of these tricks from his guitar playing. To lock in on double tracking, overdubbing guitars, rhythm guitars. Whenever you when you start a phaser effect on your guitar, it's completely random where that phase begins. Right on some of these effects pedals, it always starts at the same spot. If you engage the effect. So they would have someone in the studio right when it was time to punch in on the guitar, they would engage the effect. So there was someone actually controlling not only the guitar, they're playing the part, but instead of all of this computers doing everything for you, the effects, so you use like slap an effect on your track and Pro Tools, these guys are still doing it old school, and just the production value is insane. The combination of solid state guitars or amps and tube amps to give a super thick sound that they used, unbelievable. I mean, just super influential, and they couldn't top it. I mean, think about this. They could not top that. And so the band dissolved.
Suddenly, I'm going to say this. Suddenly, you seem to understand the game pretty well. any hesitation that you had? I think it's just well out the window.
As soon as I saw this, and I was like, "Oh, this is tough," and then I was like, "No, it's not." And I look over at this guy. He's got all this horror. He's got a Frankenstein. I'm like, "Oh, it's got to be Rob Zombie guy." Alice in Chains is insane. I mean, the vocal harmonies are really influential, and a lot of the new age room material is very inspired by Alice in Chains. But I don't think a heavy White Zombie influence as well. I'm big on both of these.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me get my moment of
no, man,
my
that was
reaction.
great. I didn't know about that, about the phasing, but that totally makes sense. Yeah, also More Human Than Human has one of the greatest intros of all time, especially when you're like a kid and you hear that start. It's like, whoa, am I supposed to be hearing this? But yeah, I love White Zombie. Alice in Chains, like a lot of great songs, but definitely White Zombie. Just like, as you were mentioning too, like the shows, like the showmanship, the pyrotechnics, like and just like the visual too. I'm always visual and aesthetic, always the way it pairs with the music, and Zombie always had his vision from the beginning.
The last track, Blood, Milk, and Sky, is like I no longer partake in any sort of narcotics or anything. Haven't in a long time. I could imagine that would be the perfect, just like get baked and like chill and listen to that song just forever. It's so good, just heavy, but like chill,
What was that one that was like cut through the bone and cut through the wire?
Yeah, there's so many,
so many good ones. Sorry,
I Zombie,
yes,
great song. Astro Creep 1 and 2, both. Man,
yeah.
Anybody out there want to challenge and speak up for Alice?
I'd actually say it's a hard it's an excellent mix because for me it would be between these two. I would say White Zombie for all the everything that he just said, the pyrotechnics, the stage act, the feel of everything. When you go see them live, you're blown away and everything. And Alice in Chains for the lyrics and the lyrical content.
Yeah.
The lyrical content is
great point.
Where Alice in Chains. And there are very, I think it started with Mother Love Bone, actually, that kind of space. But I think that's why for me it's like an equal balance. Like I wouldn't be able to choose between either one of these two.
I love it. I love it when it's a tough choice. I mean, it wasn't necessarily for Daniel this time around, but I do love it when it's a tough choice. I feel the same way. I think these are two great albums. I know Void, I saw you guys mic up. Are you guys ready to talk?
Okay, well, this is way before any of our time.
Exactly. That's what I'm curious. I'm like insanely curious about you and Anesthesiac's take on this. Wait till you see the next one.
I think personally it'd probably be Alice in Chains. I mean, they are such a big influence. And I think about the song, I think it's Head Creeps that's on that album, and how it has that one groove that's just repeating the entire song the entire time, and it just makes you feel like the song is never ending.
Yeah, spacey.
It's very spacey. I think given the drugs, like this album is a really hard listen compared to the past.
Yep.
But they're Alice in Chains. Pick Alice in Chains.
Yeah, no, I would probably say this is one of my least favorite. My least liked Alice in Chains albums.
Okay.
It is a very tough listen for me. I mean, it does have a couple of good songs, like Head Creeps, Heaven Beside You. Sludge Factory is one of the weirdest songs I've ever listened to. But
it's good acoustic though.
Yeah, no, like I don't know. It is something about Alice in Chains in general, just being able to portray like whether or not they're drugged up, just how, I don't know, they're still painting a picture. And you can just tell, like progressions of albums just how much more, especially Lane, was under, the influence
Mhm.
and whatnot. I can't really speak too much on White Zombie. I've heard a lot about White Zombie and Rob Zombie live. Apparently, they're a really, really good live show. But
Absolutely.
I think overall, at least for me, this is probably going to be more of an artist pick as opposed to the album pick.
Sure.
I prefer Alice in Chains more.
Sure.
I agree.
All right. Where are you? Where's Anesthesiac? Are you brawling over this, or are you all lockstep like you were with Slayer?
Alice in Chains.
But I think for everyone, there's like a band that you fixate on so much as a kid. Like this is what really got me into music. Like with Sludge Factory, Heaven Beside You was all Jerry Cantrell on vocals, and I think that especially Jerry Cantrell, as a huge fan, kind of identifying how he progressed and a lot of the band members, like from Mike Starr to Mike Inez, there were lives taken throughout the progression of the band. And I think that the weight emotionally of how much they were able to put into their music really shows through, and it made them really unique in that space. And obviously I wasn't alive to be there, but I don't know, I spent a lot of time when I first started playing guitar when I was like 12, 13, listening to like watching old MTV recordings, and you always heard these Alice in Chains songs in the backgrounds. And when I went through, I got a little older, like 14, I started listening to their albums through, and I was like, I was hearing these songs so much watching like these old MTV recordings. And when you hear these connections about grooves that you love, and then you're just like, this is what kind of shaped me as a guitarist and a musician, it really starts to click where you found yourself in that space. And I think that's really unique what they were able to cultivate.
Also, we are still big White Zombie fans, especially that album.
Look, you're saying you weren't around for that time, but I would say that answer that you just gave is better than what most would give who were around at that time. So thank you for sharing that. That was outstanding, especially.
I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, there is hope for the future.
Right. Right.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
That was a home run. Congratulations. All right, so I'm going to totally shift gears on you guys
Dude,
with all this music.
I also play an Ibanez Iceman because of this band. I mean, dude, White Zombie is so influential on me. It's crazy.
The next 2 decades, we're not going to get Daniel past this album.
Okay.
Like, everything's going to go back to 1995. I'm not sure where this cruise.
And to follow up with Daniel's point with the whole pyrotechnics and everything, we would Never Elected also want to do a lot of things, but most venues that we play at, they won't let us do most of the stuff that we want to do.
Right.
Including this one.
I think one of the venues that we played at recently, one of the venues that we played at recently, because I did things that I normally do when we message them back again, hey, when do we we'd like to come back. They were like, oh, the venue doesn't think you're a good fit.
Oh yeah, we got blacklisted somewhere.
We just got blacklisted for being what we do. And I don't mind that. No complaints against the venue. No mind. We do what we do.
All right, I may put you guys in pain in 1985 because we're going glam metal.
I was alive, man. I was alive.
We were going glam, and I'm not even sure if those who weren't breathing at this decade will even know who these bands are. So I'm curious about that. We're going with Dokken, Under Lock and Key, and Kix, Midnight Dynamite. Look at the faces. Look at the faces.
Yeah.
That's a pause right there. So
I've heard of these bands. But give me a song off of these records.
Dokken. So In My Dreams for Dokken was probably the biggest.
It's Not Love.
It's Not Love is another single. There's
off of this record?
There's videos off of that record.
Okay.
Kix is more local, right? So I kind of did a more localized approach on that one.
Okay.
So more of a DC, Baltimore, East Coast sensation than maybe like an LA sensation like Dokken. Anybody of any opinion, you're allowed to not have it if you don't have it. So that could be the opinion. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Could be a valid answer.
I wasn't allowed to talk on this one.
I don't recognize any of those bands. I mean, I wasn't born yet, but I mean, I'm surprised I don't recognize any of those bands. Bands.
We went deep glam on this one. We went very deep glam on purpose. So we were throwing you a curve.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be able to remember either album, but if you if you just put the bands side by side, I would go with Dokken.
All right, you're rocking with Dokken. Yeah.
Yeah, rocking with Dokken.
Uh-huh. You got some big hair on that, on both album covers. I was going to say you got kind of more hair between 4 people on the Dokken album, but it's very 1985 to have that Aquanet look. Anesthesiac, you ever heard of this?
No.
No disrespect on glam metal, but as a drummer, I find it a little boring to listen to. There's not a whole lot.
No, he's right.
Look, I'm going to tell you, I threw this grenade at you guys on purpose. You're allowed to disrespect it if you want to.
No,
you guys are so nice. You're just so nice.
That is a really good point about the drums. However, there is something that's great about simplicity.
Oh yeah.
And I like part of the grunge thing is that it's sort of like taking all like the difficult riffing away and like sort of making it. And I think that the huge, and it's not just the simplicity. If you play think about it. If you played like real technical drumming, but you put all that reverb they do on it, it would sound atrocious, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
if you
what I
have a
was thinking.
snare that's got a whole lot of space and they have that really big reverb, like those big massive toms, I mean, it's a balance. You gotta lay off of it and not play so fast,
right?
So that it has space.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It fit the genre. Oh, I'm not supposed to talk on this.
I was waiting for you to go back to
George
1995. Lynch. I was waiting to go back to.
I mean, George Lynch is the only reason.
Asher Creek 2000. Yeah. You guys, right? So Kevin was dropping George Lynch on
it. The 80s and the whole glam metal space. There was a whole lot of. I mean, even as a vocalist, there was a whole lot of vocalists with a really high range, and that was pretty much what it was.
Amen.
But all right. For some reason, after a bit, even as a vocalist, I was like, man, come on.
Right.
I was done with it.
Yeah.
I was just having... Sorry.
Some of my favorite vocalists, Steelheart, those kind of bands, but then I can't listen to a whole album.
Right.
Nitro, Jim Gillette, like he's like one of the best vocal coaches in the world. But as a band, I'm not too sure.
Void, you have any stances on this? Like I see you there's like these put off expressions.
No opinions. I don't think any of us know any of these bands.
They just like the high pitched vocals from the 1980s bands.
Sure.
That's sort of what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I was just having a conversation about this, and I think Luke, you could probably relate a little bit with the sound of Cursor, but I was having a discussion because we just dropped the single yesterday. It's New Age Ruin song, and there's the hook in the chorus is the song, and we were talking about how great his vocals sound. It just sounds just so good, just like from 2004 when we did the Tides record, and we were kind of thinking like, man, when we were doing that record in 2004, what was really popular, and it's sort of similar to this conversation, is very popular. Emo was big.
Right.
The pop punk movement was also had like a sort of the male was a high pitched.
Yep.
It was popular. So you had bands like Coheed and Cambria, Dashboard Confessional, Further Seems Forever before that.
Used.
Yeah.
Yep.
So where the singing, and for a lot of us that you can hear me and like I have maybe like a tenor sort of voice. That's not within most people's range.
Sure, right.
So then you've eliminated like a lot of people from what's popular in music, whose natural born gift happens to be within a different range.
Yes.
And it's just so absurd,
Mm-hmm.
And so we were having this conversation about the vocals that he did on that first record, where he was really pushing the high end of his range, and what we're writing now is actually more appropriate for his range and his voice.
Right.
It sounds so much better.
Sure.
It's so crazy. So I kind of relate to
the choir.
point about the vocals and that was. It's not to say there weren't bands singing lower. It's just that tended to be sort of the
it
genre
wasn't in
and what was
vogue.
popular.
Right.
I think what you just said was like excellent, and just hit a chord actually, because growing up in the 80s, every singer wanted to emulate one of these singers.
Right.
While that was not their space. And I personally know of vocalists who destroyed their voices, like really good singers who could probably be like excellent with if they sang in their space. They were just trying to get to that 80s glam metal, like they wanted to do like Steelheart all the time, or they wanted to do the Firehouse, and like every other band at that time with the high pitched vocals and Queensryche. And though Queensryche did have a low end too. They were not just but I know a lot of vocalists who tried really hard to go way beyond what they can physically do, and pretty much either destroyed their voice or gave up.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it too is it's a function of standing in front of a drum set with cymbals screaming in your ears, and you're just trying to be as loud and hit a note that allows you to cut through the mix.
Yep, absolutely.
You know what I mean? I remember sitting in rooms first starting out, and just everything is so loud, half stacks in a room, cymbals, and you're just like, let me sing as loud as I can. So you can hear yourself.
Exactly.
Half stacks.
Yes. Yeah.
You guys play with half stacks?
Well, it didn't start with half stacks. I mean, it was a crate half stack.
Yeah, we have like 3 or 4 full stacks behind us when we practice.
All right, one more decade to go.
I want to just point that is really actually a really good point from Never Elected, and I think that's what I really enjoy about these bands. Anesthesiac, I'm really excited to see Void the Sandman and hear them play here. Is that these everyone of these musicians I see that are here in this room, everyone is being themselves in their music. It's their own, and that's what people respect and
absolutely
and love. If that it's just such the classic bit of advice, right? Be yourself, and you'll succeed. And I love it. I love Anesthesiac's music. I love seeing them play. They play with a lot of passion. They just kill it every time I see them, and the crowd responds. In part, it's so that's just, if anybody is listening and you're aspiring to be a musician, that's the way to go. 100%. Do what comes natural to you, and you'll be awesome at it.
Right. Yeah. Love it. All right, we're gonna close out on 1975. Many people in this conversation are not breathing, but these are classic. And I had to throw this out for Daniel because I have this debate.
Speaking of high
back and forth, yes.
There's not even a debate.
It's a little hostile grenade going his way. So we have Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic, and Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti. They're classics, though, right? We might not have been breathing, but everybody knows these bands if they don't know these specific albums.
I've never heard of either of them. Who's Led Zeppelin?
Led Zeppelin's Physical Graffiti came out in 1975. So you want to do a little math on that one? That would be how many years ago?
Is that really how they spell their name? ZEPP?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wait a minute.
Did
I do an extra P? Are they 1 P or 2?
It's not Zeppelin.
You left out the E. Second E.
Isn't there another E?
Oh, did I?
Isn't it Zeppelin?
Damn it.
Anyways,
it was the art department.
Yeah,
at least you got the year right.
You got a copy editor.
Look, man. Oh, I did leave out the second E. Damn it.
I'm not going to say anything about other bands' music, okay? Because you guys know my opinion on the worst band in the world that's name starts with Arrow. But this record, what speaks to me immediately is this cover art is classic. Everyone knows this cover art.
you're kind of in a throwback way. This was when vinyl was king, right? Yeah. You're not going to get it in any other format. So the cover art was substantially important.
There's a handful, maybe a dozen, I don't know, 20, 50 records where you look at the album and you're like, I know exactly what that is. And I don't even listen to this band. You know what I mean? That's like the level. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Boom. You feel the emotions. You know what it is. That's why that immediately speaks to me. And that's also
not the
the
fact
worst
that you hate
band in
Aerosmith.
the world that's ever existed.
The cover art was king.
Led Zeppelin wrote at least 2 songs. Aerosmith wrote one, and they just played it like a billion times. Right?
I don't know. I like Aerosmith's little resurgence in the 90s, like Crazy and
oh yeah, they wrote that song again, and then they wrote it again.
See, that's the Aerosmith that Daniel hates,
man.
But that is not this Aerosmith.
So I was a kid at the time when I started hearing that Aerosmith, and that was like my first time ever hearing Aerosmith. And I went to my uncle's record collection. I came across Toys in the Attic, and I had no idea that Aerosmith had been around since '75.
Right.
Blew my mind.
And that's Walk This Way. That the
Sweet Emotion, is that on this one?
Sweet Emotion is on that one. That
Janie's Got a Gun is a good song.
Yeah,
I'm gonna admit that. I like that song, but that wasn't until 1980.
That was
really 30 years later.
I think that was some bump.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, but someone else must have wrote it for him.
Yeah.
while I'm more of an Aerosmith fan, between these two, definitely Zeppelin. Kashmir is one of my favorite songs.
Yes.
All time.
Yeah. Yes.
Like the whole song, it's like a theater production. That song.
Yeah. All right. So like I'm sorry. What was that?
I said for that time it was phenomenal.
Oh yes.
Kashmir.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna go to Void. And like again, I love going like to the folks that maybe weren't around during this time to see if you even have an opinion about this time.
I say personally, I would choose Led Zeppelin for as the artist.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Not like a deep dive into the album, because you might pull some of the singles, but you know where you would go into an artist choice first.
Wait, repeat the question.
If you were going just really an artist choice first, like if you're gonna choose the artist over the album.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some good singles off that Aerosmith album, but like, I would choose Led Zeppelin any day over Aerosmith, just because I feel like there's something to be said if you have 4 albums named after you, just like you just put out 4 albums, like
you're rattling
just an
off.
iconic band. Yeah,
you're so badass. You're just going with the count.
Yeah,
that gives me an idea. We're going to have Never Elected 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right?
Yeah, I'm with her on the whole thing. I think personally, I know one song. I know Kashmir off of that album, and I know Walk This Way and Sweet Emotion off of the Aerosmith album. So I guess if you look at it from an album perspective, I probably would prefer Aerosmith, but overall as artists, I would definitely prefer Led Zeppelin over Aerosmith.
All right.
Oh wait, I would say that Led Zeppelin's a goat, and they're just classic. They're just like so iconic, and Aerosmith is kind of mid.
Wow. All right, that's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. Where's Anesthesiac on that?
Oh, we gotta go Led Zeppelin for sure.
Yeah, look at like you're making Daniel Ruin so happy.
Oh, I'm just
Well, Aerosmith, they got their hits. But I think I agree with Daniel. It's kind of very similar in my brain. Physical Graffiti is one that I have on vinyl. It's been mentioned like 2 or 3 times already, but Kashmir is just one of the songs ever. Unmissable. It's so great. But 100% Zeppelin all the way.
All right.
Yeah, I think also growing up when some of my grandpa's music influence, it was a lot of Led Zeppelin and stuff, just always playing on car rides. So I just have to go for that with also nostalgic reasons.
Sure. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna
actually when he said grandpa's music, I didn't say this earlier. When you said songs from '85, of the album from '85, I was about to say not just some people were not alive here. Some people's parents weren't yet alive at that point.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
Probably.
Walk This Way wasn't even good until Run DMC was on.
True. I agree. I'm a fan of Aerosmith, but not Walk This Way.
I tell you what, like,
DMC made Walk This Way.
It's a cool riff.
Yeah.
I will say I am a huge Aerosmith fan. I am like biting my tongue and it's bleeding in my mouth.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to call out Kevin, because Kevin was even on another podcast to talk about, I guess, legendary rock acts. What was the
greatest rock and roll, the greatest American rock bands?
Yes.
A guy wrote an article about the greatest American rock bands, and Aerosmith was not on that list.
And he went in to speak to that.
Ooh.
I know.
How long was
it?
It
was an attack that was heavier than
Was
this.
it 100? Was it?
No, it was like top 10 or 20.
And okay,
Oh.
Gets tough.
American's the trick, because that's the difference in these two bands just specifically.
Here's a
That's true.
question:
Yeah.
Stairway to Heaven or Dream On?
Oh, that's great.
Which one's worse?
I feel like you're kind of like they're the same song in some ways.
They are.
True.
I know where I would go on that one too, and you wouldn't like the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're both in A minor.
That's a great point. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but Wayne could have played Dream On at the guitar store in Wayne's World.
Somehow, apparently, British music was always better than American music.
What was that? I didn't catch it.
I guess is British music better than American music?
Yeah, I mean, for the longest time, it's like most American bands went to Europe first to become even popular in America.
Man, I think it's a perpetual, exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
Punk rock is like the perfect example.
But I'm over the Brits
the
stealing the
Clash.
blues licks. Over the Brits stealing the blues.
We were having that discussion
Well,
too.
the Americans stole classical music. I mean, like what? Like it's. I feel like it's a.
I don't know.
Folk music in America.
Yeah.
There's. I mean, I just don't know. The Beatles were so influential.
All right. Well, these rhetorical questions will keep flowing around again and again.
What I love about today, and especially the past, maybe it's naive to say, but I would say at least in the past 30 years or so is it's not just America and England influencing each other, but a lot of other cultures.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
It's just huge
exploded.
to me.
It's awesome.
It's like like South American influence, like bands like Sepultura that came in from metal. Scandinavian influence on like the new wave of Scandinavian Swedish heavy metal.
Yeah, Candiria, another South American
Gojira's
influence.
from France. Like I love the globalization of music and some of the influences that you guys are talking about, like Bollywood on movies and film.
So there's a band called Bloody Wood. There's a band called Bloody Wood that's from India.
Oh, cool.
They pretty much sold out their entire American tour last year.
Nice.
Even System of Down is all Armenian, right?
Right.
Yep. Serge, yeah.
Yeah. I thought the whole band maybe, but I could be wrong.
I thought they were.
But yeah, the whole band is,
All right. Well, our time is really wrapping up here. We're coming to an end, but we have to promote the shows, not the show, but the shows again.
So this Friday, April the 4th, again, Age of Ruin, ladder match, Amanita, and Lost Becomes. And then Saturday, April the 12th, Cursor, Anesthesiac, Void the Sandman, and Never Elected. Thanks, everybody, for joining us and helping promote the shows. Looking forward to seeing you guys here. Those that will be here for the first time. We will potentially be podcasting and continue this conversation.
Let's do it. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us. You guys I know you guys work hard at this, and it's really cool for you to include a lot of the local musicians into what you do. So,
appreciate you.
And I appreciate that because we don't even think about it. It's just what we do. It's like you're saying, like it's just the way you live and breathe.
Yeah, man.
Man, it's I just noticed this Tron look on this. Did you do that? Is this you, Scott? Yeah, I'm part of this.
Yes. Remember I said something about that too, Scott. It's brighter today.
I think it's because
string lights.
Oh.
Well, that's definitely brighter.
They didn't.
that is crazy bright.
This is the first time I think I've been in this room where I wasn't sweating like a pig, man. I don't know what was always wrong with
I fixed it for you. There you go.
Yeah, dude, like it's always so hot.
Give it another month or two. It'll get hot.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
I'm gonna guess they didn't turn on the heat today.
Didn't need it. There's nobody here but us.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know. It's always it's toasty in here usually.
Yeah. All right, love you guys. Can't wait for the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.